Hello, this is Dr. Addie with Wisdom Breaks. Welcome back. If you want to learn direction in purposeful relationships, stay tuned. I've got something for you. Welcome back to Wisdom Breaks with Dr. Addie. I'm your host. This question I have for you is just really powerful. It's all the way from Anniston, Alabama. And it goes, is it possible to find love again and forgiveness in past relationships? In other words, can we love past relationships? Can we heal that pain and move forward? That's a good question. I'll tell you this. You know my motto, I'm very optimistic. Anything is possible. But here's the key. It's going to cost you a lot of work. Because see, when things happen in a relationship, it causes us to have these mindsets. And so in order to get past those mindsets, certain things has to be done. Case in point, say if one of the persons in a relationship cheated, now we have a trust issue. So you're not just going to go back and say, I trust you again, because now you have this reserve based on the trust being broken. And I often say trust is like a piece of paper. If I give you a clean sheet of paper, fresh, new, crisp, clean, and then I ball that paper up, and then I want to iron it out again, that's how it is once trust is broken in a relationship. So yeah, it can work. However, you're going to have to work it, honey. You're going to have to work it, and that partner's going to have to work it. They're going to have to be more accountable. For instance, if he goes to the store and he says, honey, I'm going to the store to get some milk, and he runs into his friends and they end up hanging out or whatever, then the phone call needs to be made. Honey, I done ran into Butch. I'll be home in such and such a time. That's the only way it's going to resolve, because you have to build back up that trust. Because generally that first time we give away that trust, but after that you got to earn it. So yes, it can work. Love can be loved again in past relationships. Now, the next question comes from South Carolina, but I decided to do something because I had two questions that's pretty much similar, and they're both from South Carolina. Okay, one question goes, how do you know when to move on and when it's okay to move on? The second question was, when will you know when to walk away from a bad relationship? So I decided to combine these questions for the simple point is this. Both of these questions ask you when to let go. You know when to let go. When this relationship no longer edifies you, when it no longer grows you, when it no longer speaks to who you are, it's time to let go. When this relationship begins to demean who you are, make you feel bad, you can't sleep at night, it's not building you. Because I'm a firm believer that whoever you surround yourself with is ultimately what you become. So you want to surround yourself with people who are going to speak life to you. And if they're not speaking life to you, honey, let it go. Okay? So, again, you'll know when to walk away, when it's no longer feeding you a healthy way, in a healthy way. We have so many people in unhealthy relationships, and that's another story. However, but for this one, this question, you know when to walk away when it no longer serves the purpose that it's supposed to, which is love. Now, this next question, it can be controversial, and it depends on your faith, your belief, what your belief is, and I'm just going to tell you the question. How about that? This question comes all the way from Altoona, Pennsylvania, and it goes, I'm confused. God said it is a sin for men to lay with men and women to be with women, and yet homosexuality, lesbianism, transsexual, and gender reassignments are so prevalent now. We are encouraged as Christians to accept and love each other for who they are, no matter what the situation. but it clearly states that the Bible speaks that people who indulge in this type of activity cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Ephesians 5:1-9. That's the information that the caller sent in for this question. I'm going to tell you this. There's nothing really to be confused about, because irregardless of what your faith is, whether you're Christian, whether you're Buddha, Muslim, or what have you, your job and the only thing you're supposed to do is be loved. That's all it is. It says God is love, so we should be loved. And whatever their preferences are, that's between them and their God. We are to walk in love. We are to be the epitome of the love of God. And I believe that when you begin to walk in that love, and if it's real in your life, they're going to want it. They're going to want to partake of that love. They're going to say, wow, why are you like this? What created you? What motivated you to become who you are? So it doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're a lesbian, or whatever the situation may be. Our responsibility to one another is to love them. You don't love what people do, their sin, or whatever you want to call it. You don't love the sin, but you love the sinner. If that's your philosophy, if that's what you're doing from a Christian point of view. However, I will tell you this, honey, be love. Be love and let God be God. That's the problem. Sometimes we're sitting in God's judgment seats, and we need to sit in our own seats and just be love. Now, this question comes from Orangeburg, South Carolina. And the question is, how do I love someone? How to love someone? That's a loaded question. Because see, first, you got to ask yourself, is this person you're trying to love somebody that you call to love? Because if it's not someone that you call to love, it doesn't matter what you do, it won't work. Okay? So, first, decide, is this somebody that's part of my purpose? Is this somebody that's part of my destiny? You see, because the problem is in relationships today, is we end up with someone and we all in love with them, and then when we really start figuring out where we're going and what our purpose is, they don't have nothing to do with it. And then the relationship dissolves itself for whatever reasons, because you're going it's like two trains going two different directions. So that's the first thing you need to do. Make sure that this person is going in the same place you're going. It's part of your destiny. It's part of your purpose. Then once you decide that, then understand this. You can't change them. So I tell people, look at those things that you don't like about a person. You see, and see if it's a deal breaker. Because if it's a deal breaker, then move on. I had a situation before where, we had to look at the situation, and I'm a gaseous person. They was like, that's a deal breaker. So how the rituals they wanted me to go through, that was a deal breaker. So that ended it. You don't waste your time, because see, time is life. And what you don't want to do is waste your life dealing with people or involved with people that you really don't even need to be with from the get-go. So I would encourage you to love somebody the way you love them. Is first, find out if they're part of your purpose, part of your destiny. Second, find out what the deal breakers are. Okay? And then if it's some deal breakers, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. After that, the rest is history, because you can work through anything when you know in your knower that this person is part of your life and part of what you're purposed to do on the earth. And so you will work through it. It will be ways. I'm not saying everything's going to be peachy, but you're going to find a way to work that thing out, because it's purposed. It's purposed to be. And see, the problem is so many people are in relationships that's not purposed to be. And so they have it all kind of hell. And they're still trying to make it work. It's like taking a square peg, trying to fit it in a round circle. It do not work. Okay? So again, find that person that's part of your purpose and your destiny. Find the deal breakers. And don't try to change them. Let God do the changing. And walk in love. Because that's your ruling umpire. The love of God. Because love will love beyond the faults. Because love will see the need. Thanks for watching.
Send your questions to Dr. Addie at a.mcafferty@aol.com. You can purchase Dr. Addie's book, Beyond Betrayal, Standing in the Midst of Adversity, by going to Amazon.com or by visiting her website at www.draaddie.com. www.addiemcafferty.com.
Just fine. Yes. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm fine, fine, fine. Wait a minute, you gotta say it with an attitude. I'm fine, fine, fine. You know, and I teach women to be bold, be confident, be sassy, be sexy, be authentic, be true. How many of us in here really are fine? I began to live in a cage. And that song that this gentleman just played was so powerful to me because God told me to get my things and go to Texas. And on my way to Texas by myself, I played that song about 8 or 9 times. I'm just fine. And guess what? As I was driving down the highway, the weight of the world, the weight of that relationship just started to fall off. And I said, I really am fine. And guess what? God has so many things that's so big for you. But you got to stop listening to other people. People will hinder you. Being in bad relationships will stifle you. And guess what? You'll feel like you're dying. So when I got out the cage, I became real happy and real free. And I said, no one can ever take away what God has done for me at this point in my life. So when I walk in the room, I walk in the room with confidence. You know, people say, well, do you have cancer? No, I don't have cancer. But I'm confident enough to cut all my hair off every week and sometimes twice a week. Because I am who God says I am. And this doesn't make me who I am. It's my heart condition that makes me the woman that I am. So I know how to be a base and I know how to be above. I've had great and I've had low. I've been on welfare and that's okay because I'm still who God says I am. So you can look at me and say, oh, you know, she thinks she's all that. Yes, I believe that I am all that. I know that I'm all that. Why? Because I am who God says I am and I can do and be what God says I can do and be. You know, a lot of people say, well, why did you create this show, Preacher's Exes? Why? Because you don't know the hell that I've been through. You don't know the hell that other women are going through. And the world needs to know that there's a dying person in the church called the First Lady or the preacher's wife. We've been called hoes and we've been called ratchet and all these things. But guess what? I ain't nobody's hoe and I ain't ratchet. I might get a little hood sometimes. I ain't gonna pull no knife out and cut you, but I might beat you down. So I tell people, don't let the pretty thing fool you right here. I'm from Philly and I don't play. The way you step to me is the way I'm gonna step to you. But guess what? I am who God says I am and I can do what God says I can do. I am who God says I am. And guess what? You're all beautiful queens. You know, when you take off the weave and the wig and all that, just say, excuse me. Darn, I'm fine.
With a man. You know, we like, ooh, I love him because it be so good. You know what I'm saying? It be like, ooh, Jesus, yeah. He the man, you know. You know? And it's like that, but we have to be honest with ourselves. Like when we see certain things, characteristics or traits or whatever, be like, I don't want to deal with that.
Okay.